Marinaro, the Sick Podcast on this Friday, January 23rd. Happy 87th birthday to my father. Travel day for the Montreal Canadiens. They left for Boston earlier today, where tomorrow night the Canadiens play yet another 4-point game versus a division rival. In the last couple of weeks, the Montreal Canadiens played a 4-point game versus Detroit. They lost. In Buffalo, they lost. In Ottawa, they were down 5-3 with less than 5 minutes to go in the game, came back and won in overtime. And last night versus the Sabres, they lost again. A biggie tomorrow night in Boston. We'll talk about a couple of things that may or may not be plaguing the Montreal Canadiens. What's happening versus big, heavy teams. We'll talk about the goaltending issue, which is always a topic of conversation. Bolduc brought up to the number one line for a couple of shifts. Doc, who started there over the last couple of games. Year probably coming back. We'll talk about Patrick Laine's status. Jaden Struble versus Xhekaj. All this and a whole lot more. We're talking Montreal Canadiens hockey on this, a Friday edition. My guest will be Matt Ohayon, formerly of the Sick Podcast on Friday nights. He's my collaborator. And Marc Dumont of Montreal Hockey Now, sportsnot.com. It's the Sick Podcast, back in 3 short minutes.
It's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came in to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick Podcast, your number one sports destination.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came in to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K, 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 S-I-C-K.
All in, we came in to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. With Tony Marinaro.
55 seconds left in the penalty, a minute and 27 seconds left in regulation time. Boston 4, Montreal 3. Lafleur coming out rather gingerly on the right side. He gives it into Lanier, back to Lafleur. Oh!
The sickest Montreal Canadiens podcast.
You're in the fall.
Sports entertainment like no other.
Rejoint, on lui fait perdre la rondelle, une passe devant. Et c'est le dégagement et ce sera la victoire des Canadiens. Stanley pour les Canadiens, le 23e de l'histoire.
You found the dogs. John, you found the dogs. He found the dogs.
And all together, they worked a young team to the top. And now, a 24th Stanley Cup banner will hang from the rafters of the famous Forum in Montreal. The Canadiens win the Stanley Cup.
Brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Driven to be different. La Vida Tibi. Embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination. It's gonna be sick.
Bro, I promised you Marc Dumont and I promised you Matt Ohayon, and they are here with me, gentlemen. Thanks for doing this. I appreciate it. In all transparency, this was recorded a little bit earlier in the day on Friday afternoon. So thank you very much. And if you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, I can tell you that the Sick Podcast is brought to you in part by Energy Transportation Group, a leading asset light 3PL driven to be different from cross-border freight between Canada, USA, and Mexico to coast shipping in both Canada and the United States. Energy moves it all. They're fast, reliable, and powered by tech that delivers smarter logistics. If you need a real partner in transportation, contact the team at sick@shipenergy.com and see how Energy Transportation Group is changing the freight game. Also, Playground, it's hockey night at Playground, as if watching hockey wasn't thrilling enough. Now watching every goal means more action on the felt before the puck drops. Every poker table is randomly assigned the player from the Montreal team. And when your player scores, boom, Playground splashes the next spot with up to $200 in chips. Catch every game on Playground's big screens all around the room, so you'll never miss a goal, a play, or a splash putt. And for the big games, you want the best beers on your team, whether it's La Bittt TB IPA with its bold flavor, La Bittt TB Lager with its exceptional smoothness, or La Bittt TB Ultra Lager, which is ultra light and ultra refreshing. They always have a place on your team. La Bittt TB, brewed for special occasions. And please, please drink responsibly. Gentlemen, not so sure if Marty St. Louis was going to do some drinking after 23 minutes yesterday, but his team was down by a score of 3-0. Before we look forward to the Bruins, of course, we look back at what happened. And Marc Dumont, why have the Montreal Canadiens in the last couple of weeks here lost these 4-point games? Shutout versus Detroit on home ice, 5-3 loss versus Buffalo last week in Buffalo. 4-2 loss last night. A come from behind 5-3 win in Ottawa, but they were down 5-3 after 55 minutes of play. Mm-hmm. And had Ottawa got NHL goaltending on that night, the Canadiens would have lost that game as well. Your thoughts?
I think it's a stylistic issue to a certain extent, Tony. Teams that give the Canadiens runway, they pay for it. They immediately pay for it. If you give guys like Slavkovsky, Demidov space to actually generate controlled entries, or Suzuki to create off the cycle, then the Habs will do quite well. But once you start clogging up that neutral zone, once you start taking away their speed in transition, the Habs struggle. And it's an issue on the power play as well. We're seeing the Montreal Canadiens on the power play. If it's a passive power play, chances gore. Last night, what did we see? An aggressive power play, no chances. So I'll say, honestly, Tony, I think it's a little bit of a coaching thing where it's hard to adapt to that. But last night wasn't that bad of a loss, was it?
And I think Pierre Maguire also said last night the Canadiens did very well in the faceoff circle, but on the power play, they did not. They lost a lot of big faceoffs, notably Nick Suzuki. So when you don't have possession of the puck and the opponent picks it up, and boom, all of a sudden they lob it down the ice. By the time you're back in the offensive zone, if you get back in, all of a sudden 25 seconds is off the clock.
And nobody wants to shoot. That's the other part, right? Nobody's shooting on the power play.
Can you, either of you, tell me why at the start of an overtime, or, if the goalie is pulled, it's an important face-off, they will put Phil Deneau on, and then they'll pull him off the ice, after 10, 15 seconds.
But they won't do it for a power play.
Why?
It's a good point. If he's your best face-off guy,
what's Suzuki at though right now? Is that
he was winning everything last night? He won everything last night. Phil Deneau did. So this is the part that annoyed me from last night was the player deployment issues, because he was on the ice, right? So you have Slavkovsky's line taking the defensive zone draw, which I get it. They're more responsible defensively, but then the play happens and then there's an offensive zone draw and then they put the Danault line on. And I understand, hold on. Yeah. I understand that they were probably the ones that were generating the most offense last night, but the numbers show that they're a rush line. They can't cycle the puck.
You put a Phil Danault, he wins the faceoff.
Yeah.
You want it to go back to the bench, right?
Sure.
Your 5-on-4 becomes a 4-on-4. By the time he makes his way back to the bench, someone takes.
You're losing precious zone time. Sure.
You know, all of a sudden that numerical advantage you have is gone, and then the other team can actually get the puck back.
I don't agree, because we've seen so many times where the Canadiens possess the puck so much on a power play that they're able to make a full line change
and 472 passes
without losing possession of the puck. They'll make a full line change.
But is it okay? Listen, I understand using Phil Danault in like a defensive zone faceoff is the big one, but on the power play, Suzuki's winning 50% of his draws. You know what the difference between first of all, 58% is great for Danault, but in a game that's one extra draw. You know what I mean? Statistically, it doesn't give you. I think it's more important what you do after. And Danault, after he wins the faceoff, which he's great at winning that faceoff, there's not a lot of value there. So I kind of get using, if Suzuki was at 45%, sure, but he's at 50%. That's more than fine.
It just seems situationally the big face-offs were being lost.
Don't forget, though, they played versus a very aggressive penalty kill. Like he said, they gave the Canadiens all kinds of problems. So I talked to you about that numerical advantage going away. If Danault's in there, he wins the face-off, makes his way back to the bench. Now it's a 4-on-4.
Yeah.
When you're on a 4-on-4 versus a very aggressive PK, it's hard to be able to possess the puck the way you said, because aggressive PKs give the Montreal Canadiens problems, and clearly the Sabres penalty kill gave the Canadiens problems last night. The Canadiens were 0 for 3 on the power play. And
Buffalo scored.
Buffalo scored a goal short-handed.
Yeah.
Malenstein to put the Buffalo Sabres up by a score of 2-0. By the way, Noah Dobson really didn't look good on that one.
Okay. Here's one thing we need to figure out with Noah Dobson is that a very good player, and I think he's actually been a game changer for the Canadiens to a certain sense, but he's Charmin soft. He's soft. He's like Dougie Hamilton soft. And you want to see these big guys hit, right? You really do, but that's not his game, and it will never be his game. But I agree with you, Tony. He is beyond soft, but that's because he's got those soft hands. He's never going to hit.
And I mentioned last night on the post-game show that with Pierre Maguire and Brian Wilde, that I'm not about to pin this one on Montembeault. I know it was the popular thing to say or do last night. I mean, for those who were watching us on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, they were on the chat.
He was getting killed.
He got scored on the first shot of the night.
That's the issue, Tony.
He got scored on the first shot of the night, and the Sabres scored their 3 goals in their first 7 shots. And I think everyone looks at that. And I said, and Pierre Maguire said as well, there's no doubt that he could have positioned his stick differently, and there's no doubt that he should have gone for the poke check on Malenstein.
And with Benson, he just kind of watched Hutson lose his battle and just
maybe he was a little naive on the play by Malenstein, thinking, you know what, Dobson's going to take it away from this guy. There's no way that this guy's going to turn Dobson. We're talking about a 4th liner versus an elite defenseman.
Yep.
Maybe he took it for granted. Maybe he didn't think that Malenstein had that move in his arsenal. I don't know, but I said, look, they made a lot of mistakes last night. Lane Hutson had an off night,
Big
-3.
One of his worst games of the year.
The pairing with Struble last night was not very good. We talked about Dobson not doing well on that second goal. Kirby Dach had a couple of mishaps, so much so that Marty St. Louis lost patience at one point, put Bolduc on that line, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I didn't think Montembeault was the big reasons why the Canadiens lost last night. There was an 0 for 3 power play once again. They gave up a goal on the penalty kill. There's a lot of guys that had a bad night at the office, and they got goalied by Luukkonen. Luukkonen was the difference. It's not because Luukkonen was the difference that it means that Montembeault is a problem, but based on what you're saying, you didn't like Montembeault last night?
No, and I'll say, listen, it's not a matter of hating the player. I have so much respect for Montembeault, but this is the 6th time this season that he's allowed a goal in the first shot. If I did my math correctly, which I probably didn't because I only have 5 fingers, so it might have been the 5th.
I don't think so, because Guillaume Villemaitre tweeted out last night that the Canadiens have given up the first goal on the first shot 5 times this season. And I have to tell you,
so that would have been the 5th. Then
I have to tell you, unless it was on Dobish.
Dobish has had 1.
So I have to tell you though, I was very surprised when I read 5 because it feels like it's been 12.
It feels like, But when you look at other teams, though, they're like 1 or 2. So I think there's a confidence thing in play as well, Tony. As soon as you're playing behind the 8-ball right off the bat. It demoralizes the
Yeah,
players,
but you're not
you
supposed
know
to
what I mean?
give up a 2-on-1 44 seconds.
Well,
into
that's the
game
other part too.
either.
Did you
Let's
look
be
at
honest.
Trevor Letowski at one point? He's looking down and he's just shaking his head. Coaches shouldn't do this, but he's so frustrated. He's shaking his head thinking, what is this? I told you guys not to do this. So there's an argument to be made there that the quality chances the Habs give are higher quality than most teams. Absolutely.
Well, that's what it felt like yesterday. It felt like after the second period, the Habs were dominating that game at that point, but the high danger scoring chances were all coming from Buffalo.
2-on-1s, always odd man.
Odd man rushes nonstop. It was really, really frustrating to watch from the stands.
And that's something Carey Price would just be not shaking his head. He'd be going, yep.
Thank you. I want to.
All right,
Welcome to Montreal. Could
know-
you imagine having Carey Price right now? I just want to say this is ironic
Yeah.
that the Habs couldn't score for 20 years with Carey Price, and then Carey Price is gone. All of a sudden, they're scoring 6 goals a game, but they can't defend.
You know what? I've seen what people are saying, and once again, a lot of people are saying, "Hey, the Montreal Canadiens have a goaltending issue." There's some people that are saying that the Canadiens should go look at the trade market to see if they can acquire a goaltender. I've said this before. I'm going to say it again. I don't think we've seen the last of Fowler.
He's the best goalie in the organization right now, isn't he?
I think he'll be back. Mind you, he did give up 4 versus Buffalo.
Yep. And it was going a lot
and
worse.
if you're going to complain about Montembeault last night, let's be honest. I didn't like Fowler's game versus the Sabres. I thought Fowler could have had 3 goals versus the Sabres. I thought he could have had Tage Thompson's first goal that beat him short side upstairs. I thought he could have had the one from Josh Doan, who was on the doorstep, but Fowler was on his knees way in advance and gave Doan the top of the net, and Doan took it. And the goal by Alex Tuck beat him short side as well. And I remember doing the Habs post-game show. That was not yesterday, but the Thursday before, obviously, with Pierre Maguire. And he said, Tony, all those short side goals that go in, he goes, you know what we call those in the NHL, in our lingo? And when
Cheating.
he says our, he means, coaches, GMs, staffers, executives.
Yeah.
And I said, what do you guys call short side? He says, we call it AHL side. When you get beat short side, those are goals. Those are AHL goals to give up, not NHL.
Do you remember Jacob Fowler's first game? It was against the Penguins, wasn't it?
Yes.
Wasn't it against Mario Lemieux? Or no, sorry.
Crosby?
Maybe it was Sidney Crosby. One of the first things Sidney Crosby did is he tested him the AHL. He said, I'm going to go short side here because I think he's cheating. And actually, Fowler stayed up. He defended it. And then a few weeks into playing for Montreal, suddenly he's going down on the reverse VH. You're like, what the hell happened? You were standing up earlier. So a lot of people are saying, is this a goaltender issue, a goaltending coach issue? But that's really hard to answer, Tony. Is this a Eric Raymond versus Marco Marciano issue?
So when Canadians when Montembeault earlier in the season was struggling mightily, and Dobish got off to a good start, but then Dobish started to play nervous hockey as well, and they were both shaky. That's when the Canadians called the Fowler and told everyone, hey, this was always in the plans. We wanted him to get a taste of professional hockey.
We wanted to evaluate him.
They didn't say we called him up because our goalies couldn't stop anything right now. We always wanted to evaluate him, right?
Instead of going to Laval.
But, so you can make different arguments. You can say that Fowler, was under the tutelage and training of Marco Marciano. And he was playing great for Laval, and then he got the call up, and he was playing great for the Canadiens. And then after some time, he was playing less great, and pin it on
Eric
Raymond if you want to. You can also say that Montembeault went to Laval, did really good work with Marco Marciano, came back up. He looked really good. But then for a couple of weeks after he was back, he still looked good.
Yep.
But last night was a little bit of a hiccup. Actually, last game was a hiccup too. The game before that in Ottawa, he gave a 5. So there's been a couple of hiccups. You can go both ways. Clearly, things look better for Marciano than they look for Raymond.
And it's psychology too, to a certain extent, with goalies now, right? It's not just about technique. One of the things that Marco Marciano's had to do in Laval, if you go back to all the years, they've had 3 or 4 goalies, 5 goalies sometimes. So he's had to be able to prepare them. When you're a goalie, the most important thing to prepare is to know when the next start is coming, right? So you get yourself in the zone. It's really hard to do that when you have 3 goalies. So Marciano has actually been able to kind of juggle all those balls. I will say this. I've seen him work in depth at practice, before practice, after practice. And I will say that Marco Marciano, in general, from all the goalies I spoke to, they say he does very good work. Very, very good work. Yeah.
Oh, I've known people that have worked with him for quite some time, even at a lot lower levels. I've never heard any negative feedback regarding
Humble
the work
guy
that
too.
Marco Marciano
Humble guy
does.
too, yeah.
He does a colossal job.
But how can we can't tell, right?
I
That's
know
the other part.
Listen, a lot of members of the Montreal Canadiens do a colossal job. It's ironic that I say this because I think, in the next 15, 20, 30 minutes or so, I think we're going to talk about some decisions that maybe Marty's saying that we went with that maybe we disagree with. Doesn't mean they're the wrong decisions. Just means we're giving an opinion. After all, I mean, you're going to have to try and find something after a loss. You wanted to talk about, so before we talk about player deployment, on the goaltending issue, do the Canadiens need to go out on the market, in your opinion, and look for a goalie?
No.
Do the Canadiens need to go out on the market, in your opinion, and look for a goalie?
They have to look. Yes. Yeah, because it's an area of weakness right now. They don't necessarily have to make a trade, but they have to do your mark.
you
So
can
if they
always
find
take
a
look.
goalie,
Yeah.
Are they trading one?
I mean, here's the issue: is that Fowler he's coming up in a year or two, right? So that's tough. But I will say right now, Tony, to make the Montreal Canadiens better tomorrow, trading for a goalie is the easiest and quickest way to do it.
You'd have to think,
But there's no
at
goal.
the very correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
At the very latest,
2
come
years.
next February,
It's Fowler.
March.
Yeah.
Fowler's the guy heading into the playoffs of next year, and it might be as early as this year. But I think that Fowler, and I say at the very latest, some will say probably even at the very latest, I say by next March, he's a full-time member of the Montreal Canadiens. At the very latest, it could be by this March.
He could finish the season as the Habs starter.
He could finish the season.
And that's
as
the other
starter.
side, right? Do you shop for a goalie with Fowler
At
there?
the end of the day, a couple of weeks ago, while he was still here,
Yeah.
he got those 4-point games. I mean, the game versus Detroit, they gave it to Fowler. The game in
he
Buffalo,
was their
they gave it
starter,
to Fowler.
clearly.
But that's why I don't think it's going to be him, because he had the opportunity. It was in his hands because Dobesh wasn't particularly playing well. He was getting the wins, but he wasn't playing well. Montembeault wasn't getting the wins and wasn't playing well. He had the opportunity and it slipped.
It slipped?
It went,
Fowler?
Yeah, it went AHL side on him.
Yeah, I don't think the opportunity slipped. I think that he just needs further development.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm not
You don't
sure.
think he's going to be back by the end of the year?
I'm not sure. He might be back, but I don't think he'll be number one by the end of the year. I still think if all goes according to how the Montreal Canadiens want it to go, Samuel Montembeault is in goalie game one of the NHL playoffs.
So I'm not going to pin this loss on Montembeault. I said
Neither
that from
am
the
I.
beginning, and I said that yesterday. I will say this. I'm a little concerned that the importance of the game took him out of his comfort zone a little bit. Everyone talks about how crooked and unorthodox Dolbish is. Montembeault last night and even the game before didn't look as comfortable as he did in games that were not 4-point games. The game versus Buffalo last night and the game in Ottawa that Montembeault played, because Dobish played the one in between versus the Wild, Montembeault looked nervous. Was he? I don't know. You'd have to ask him. Did you see that?
Absolutely. And
saw it.
I feel like when Montembeault feels nervous or looks nervous, or it translates to the rest of the team immediately.
I think it translates to the rest of the province.
I mean, but now let's
Yeah.
keep in mind that was his first loss in regulation since like December something or other.
Yeah.
But okay, here, what's the common theme here? Is the common theme the 3 goalies or the goalie coaches? Not really. They keep moving around. The common theme here is that the Habs allow a boatload of 2-on-1s every single game. Let's
the
be honest
Canadiens
here.
allow a boat goals of period. So last night I was looking at a stat with Pierre Maguire, and we were talking about Pierre Maguire threw out a stat last night on the show, and it was 250 goals.
yeah, you have to reach that to make the playoffs.
You have to reach 250 goals to make the playoffs.
Scored?
Yes. So I looked at it and I said, okay, 80 games, 3 goals a game, that's 240. 82 games is 246. So just over 3 goals a game. Perfect. Makes sense to me. Pierre Maguire said yes. So I looked last night, and if memory serves me well, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the Canadiens had the 3rd most goals scored. Right?
They're up there, yeah, on the
And
Eastern
league.
Conference.
Just go in the entire league. I think they were number 3.
Which is crazy for the Habs.
Were they not number 3?
They are still number 3. Tony.
They're number 3.
174 goals, so 2 behind Carolina and about 20 behind Colorado.
Okay, so there you have it.
And Colorado doesn't count.
Now, here's
They
the
come back
interesting
down to earth.
exercise, and you can do this as well, okay? if you scroll down
Mhm.
to the top 8 highest scoring teams,
Mhm.
and I believe Buffalo was 8th, okay? You
Mhm.
can stay there. Take a look at the plus-minus differential. The Canadiens have the lowest differential of the top 8 teams that have scored the most goals. Why? Because the Canadiens have scored something like 174, but given up 171. They give up goals.
Every single coach coming into when they're playing the Canadiens, they'll say 2 things about the Habs is that, yes, they're a young, dynamic team. They'll say, we have to defend their defensemen on the back end. They're so mobile, and we have to worry about that. But here's the thing. When you're mobile, when you're actively pinching nonstop, that requires that every other teammate has to pick up on it. And if they don't, you're going to give up good
like,
chances.
for example, Hutson on the first goal.
Et voilà,
He
exactement.
decides to pinch.
Yeah.
Someone has to be ready to cover it if he's making that
So
decision.
those mobile defensemen that are scoring all these points, that's great. But you never hear the opposing coaches say, you know what the Habs do really well? Stalwart defending.
Speaking of their defensemen and the fact that they have the green light and they pinch,
Mhm.
I enjoyed this article earlier today from Eric Engel, Sportsnet and Sportsnet.ca. Before the game, he had a chance to catch up with Ken Xhekaj, who, of course, led the Dallas Stars to a Stanley Cup. And he says, sometimes you had 2 out of your 6 defense who could really activate.
He had Zubov.
But Montreal has 5 or 6. I don't think they have 6, but I'll take 5. You never thought, well, I mean, Struble and Xhekaj don't activate. Let's be honest here. You never thought of having a roster with 6 defensemen like this for most of the time I was coaching. You never thought about it at all. So what they've done in some ways, and by the way, the time they've had closest to 6 is when they had Adam Bengstrom in the lineup.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
His numbers were
So what they've
fantastic.
done in some ways has changed the game. When you have active defense like they do, it's really hard to cover them, and you end up making a lot of mistakes because of that. Next page. It's why they rank only 12th in the league in offensive zone time at even strength, according to Sports Logic. But the Canadiens ranked 6th in the league in offensive zone possession time, despite ranking 12th in offensive zone time, because once they do establish their forecheck, they're very good at playing in balance.
When they can get their F1 and F2 activating perfectly, the Habs are tough to beat.
Says Ken Xhekaj. What Montreal does so well is they control the puck. Don't look. They're one of the best teams in the league at playing with mobility at the top of the zone, where 2 defensemen and the high forward work together to maintain puck control. They interchange with each other, they play in balance, and they keep doing it until you make a mistake they can jump on. You can tell when the regular guy talks hockey, like the 3 of us, and you could tell when the lifetime coach does it like Ken Xhekaj, eh?
I was just looking at the teams that he was absolutely right. He had Zubov, Sador, and Hatcher. They were the point getters, but Darren Hatcher was right in the middle. He was just a tough guy.
Yeah.
And the rest, look at this. He won the cup with Richard Matvechuk, Sean Chambers, Craig Ludwig, Sergei Gusev. Yeah, he wasn't lying. He really had that 3 or that 2-4 set up.
Yeah.
And Zubov was good, though. Habs don't have Zubov. But we saw it yesterday. Okay, right off the bat, Mike Matheson, he generated that chance. Remember, he sent the pass to Dano, and then he went in for the shot. That's beautiful. You want that all day long, right?
The Habs have a Zubov. They have better than him. His name is Lane
Lane
Hutson, who
Hutson, but-
unfortunately had a bad night at the office last night.
So l'arrive. Yeah.
It happens. Yeah.
He wasn't happy with his game in Ottawa either. He had 3 assists in that game, but he wasn't happy with it.
He's tired.
But okay,
He's tired.
perfect.
But Zubov played with Hatcher or Sador. He didn't play with Ludwig.
So we loved Hudson versus the Minnesota Wild. He had a goal and an assist in 90 minutes, but they brought down his minutes.
Mhm.
Last night he had more ice time of any Montreal Canadiens player with 24 minutes. And the game in Ottawa, he had 3 assists, but he told members of the media he thought he had a bad game in Ottawa. So if he thought he had a bad game in Ottawa and he had a bad game last night at -3, Matt Ohayon says, I know why. He's tired. You say, I know why.
Well, he's playing on his offside. That's a big one. And the partner is not very good. Let's be perfectly honest here.
Perfect. So
Partner
I
could be
could-
better. Partner could be better. I don't want to. Yeah.
so I could do this.
Yeah.
I could snap my fingers
Mhm.
and put him back on the left side. And I can snap my fingers and give him the best partner that he's had all season on the right side.
Noah Dobson.
Correct.
Yeah.
So when people say to me, Lane Hutson unlike Cale Makar, who has Devin Taves,
Mhm.
unlike Miro Heiskanen, who has Thomas Harley, unlike Quinn Hughes, who has Brock Faber,
Mhm.
does not have a very good defense partner, with all due respect to Xhekaj, Struble, Carrier, Goalie, has to go from the left side to play the right side, all of this. So it begs the question, if Lane Hutson was playing his left side with Noah Dobson on the right side,
Mhm.
and Mike Matheson was playing on the left side with Carrier as a 4 on the right side, would that be okay with you?
Yeah.
Would that be okay with you?
Works for me.
Sounds good on
So-
paper, but
So why don't they do it? Why don't they do it?
well, there's the idea right now. But some people are suggesting that this Struble's being showcased. I don't know if I believe that.
I
at
don't
all.
believe
They played
that.
him 9 minutes. They didn't
So,
play him 29
And
minutes.
if he's being showcased, he's
No,
doing a
it's
lot
like-
more bad than
No,
good.
no. If he's doing showcase, you have to give him and Suzuki. I'm kidding. I'm just trying to be funny here, but you don't showcase a guy by saying, okay, you know what? You tell the rest of the league, we're going to play him with Lane Hutson, but we're only going to play him 9 minutes. You've told the rest of the league that, unfortunately, you don't have a lot
He's
of
too
confidence
good.
in the player.
He's too good.
Right? I have a stat here. And it'll give you an idea. Okay.
It kind of feels like the Habs are going the way that they were last
Okay.
year.
I have all of Lane Hutson's partners this season.
Mhm.
The least amount of ice time he spent with a partner, because obviously the partner didn't get a lot of minutes and because the partner didn't play a lot of games,
Goalie, I guess. I don't know.
was 26 minutes with Engstrom.
Oh, yeah.
Then he played 45 minutes with a partner. Who do you think that partner is?
Dobson.
Matheson.
Oh, okay. And 60 minutes with Xhekaj, right?
Then he
69
played.
minutes.
Then he played 62 minutes with a partner. Who do you think that is?
Dobson? No.
Xhekaj.
Xhekaj. Yeah. you
Then he
said it.
played 74 minutes with a partner. Who do you think that partner is?
Carrier?
No.
Dobson.
Goalie.
Hey, Matthew, we're doing great here.
It's great.
Trivia nights, we're
I
nailing
watch
it.
this team every night, I swear.
Then he played 140 minutes with a partner. Who do you think that partner is?
Dobson. Carrier.
It's not Struble, because Struble is about 300 minutes now.
It's
so
Dobson.
It is Dobson, eh?
302 minutes with Carrier and 304 minutes with Struble.
And his worst
So-
underlying numbers are with
So it begs the question.
Struble.
If he played 304 minutes with Struble
Mhm.
and he has to play on the offside, and he's played 302 minutes with Carrier, and there he plays his left defense,
Mhm.
and he's played 140 minutes with Dobson, and he plays left defense there. Why don't they play him with Dobson or Carrier? And why did they play him with Struble? Now, I spoke to Anthony Martineau of TVA Sport earlier this morning
Mhm.
on le SIC podcast du lundi au vendredi à 10h le matin sur la même chaîne YouTube. And he said, because St. Louis loves Matheson and Dobson together.
He really does.
It's a very simple answer. I think it's
But,
the right
but
answer.
I have a different. wait, what do you? Because I have.
See, to
I think I
me-
know why he wouldn't love that.
Last year, the best pairing of the Canadiens before Noah Dobson showed up,
Mhm.
it was Hutson Matheson.
Yeah, absolutely. And people were and listen, that was Matheson playing in his offside for a while too, eh?
Yeah.
Like they both switched.
Yes.
But Matheson actually did a fantastic
That
job.
was the
alongside
best because
Well, he's the most experienced
and-
blue liner the
but that's
Canadians
it.
have.
He's the most experienced. He's the most
and
responsible.
the best numbers this year alongside guess who? Matheson.
Why is it Hutson that's the one that's being treated as like, oh, he's the one that I could play anywhere and he'll be fine in this position. He'll get by with Struble because he'll be able to pick up after him. Why is it him? And why is it you have an elite talent there? Why is it him and why isn't it Matheson? Matheson is really the one who could handle playing everywhere. He really could. He's that smart and that experienced of a player.
Interesting stats, huh?
I think one of the things with Struble that really hurts is when he was in Northeastern, he was counted on to do everything, right? He was the best player in Northeastern by a mile, by a country mile. Jim Madigan, his old coach, is the athletic director over at Northeastern. He said, listen, he's going to have a harder time in the NHL because he's going to want to do a lot. And I'm not sure if his skills will translate. So when you see Struble kind of play within himself, like a very simple game, I think he actually does quite well. When you see him kind of want to take it up a notch, that's where he starts to struggle. And I think he sees Hutson take it up a notch. He kind of wants to bring it up a notch as well. I get it. But I feel if he pulls back a little bit, then Struble will be really within his wheelhouse, and that's where he'd be his best. Like you don't need to be driving the play with Lane Hutson's there.
I say Matheson lefty, Lane Hutson lefty, Caden Goalie lefty, Carrier right D, Dobson right D. Your other right D, figure it out. Either it's Xhekaj
can play on
your
the third pairing. Yeah, he can. There's no problem there.
Or you go get somebody else.
But as long as you keep activating one of those guys in each pairing, the Habs are going to, like, I love that they're scoring a lot, but there's that risk. When you're activating those defensemen, they at least chances against.
So what do you think of all this Struble versus Xhekaj talk?
I was shocked that Xhekaj wasn't in the lineup last night. Probably not shocked because they won the game before.
Yeah.
But I was very surprised, especially right off the bat when I forget who it was, gave I think it was Goalie a cross-check in the mouth. Someone got cross-checked in the mouth.
It was Jason Jason Zucker when he jumped up and he but he hit him. He like headbutted him with his helmet. Yeah.
And there was no,
which was crazy.
Call. There was no call, and that game started to get chippy.
How about the clothesline from Bulldog?
He elbowed him in the face. Like, it was an accident. Like, yeah, he still elbowed the guy in the face, though, right? It's like Benson ate a knuckle sandwich there, elbow sandwich.
You know, you had that happen, and the one thing that sticks out in my mind when I think of Jayden Struble, I forget which game it was, but he got into a fight and he clobbered someone, and we didn't really see any physicality out of him last night. It was granted he only played 9 minutes, but in those 9 minutes we saw 3 defensive gaffes.
Well, was it versus Cousins and Ottawa?
It was Jensen versus Ottawa, where he absolutely destroyed him with the right hand. Like he absolutely, when he came up in his face was bleeding, that was Nick Jensen on the.
But that's not necessarily.
No, but that was was it not the preseason game, and Cousins was the game in the regular season?
Oh no, regular season was Jensen, I think, because Jack at the same time was taken out.
No, regular season was Cousins because Cousins had slashed Demidov in preseason.
Yeah, you're right.
So then it was that.
And McEwen was losing a fight to Xhekaj while Struble was beating up Jensen.
Gave him one shot, boom, cut him.
But the nickname, like, I don't want to get too much in the mind of a fan, but the nickname the Sheriff comes from a place. If a game constitutes the players needing to police itself, Xhekaj is that guy that would, make someone think twice.
They didn't go with him last night because they said, you know what, Buffalo doesn't have a tough guy in the lineup, but they're big,
they're huge,
strong,
and Buffalo, ils travaillent comme des diables dans l'eau bénite. Like, they work really hard. They want it. Nick Benson's, sorry. Not Nick, right? What's his first name?
Zach.
I had a good friend called Nick Benson growing up.
Zach.
Smallest guy on the ice. He was outworking almost every Habs player. He was chippy.
Well, they got some smaller players.
They're chippy as hell.
But they surround them with all kinds of size.
And
the Buffalo Sabres have a first line of Tage Thompson, 6'6".
Yeah.
Alex Tuck, 6'4". Josh Dolan, 6'2".
Thompson,
they got McLeod down the middle, who's a 6'3" center. Norris didn't play because he's out with an injury, but he's a 6'2" center. Their fourth line center is Peyton Krebs. He's 6'1". Mm-hmm. His winger is Malenstein. He's 6'3". His other winger is Jordan Greenway. He's 6'6". They're big and they're strong, but he just made the case for Xhekaj. A lot of people were going nuts. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, social media, comments here, there, and everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But you realize that, with all due respect to both of them, they're a number 6.
6 and 7 here.
They're a 6 and 7. That one night, one is a 6. The other one's going to be asked to be the 7 and not be in the lineup. The other night, the guy who was the 7 is going to end up being the 6, and the guy who was the 6 is going to end up being the 7. And they're going to end up taking turns. But, from the start of the season to the end of the season. We talk about this in Montreal a lot compared to other seasons.
Big time. What a big thing we talk about is when talking about players, especially like this, it's a great 7. It's great depth. What happens when you need to use that depth? What happens on the ice? What happened last night? That's what happens when you need to use that depth, because they're forced into a spot. Struble, every time I'm in the Bell Center, it seems like he's playing that game, and I'm watching him make defensive gaff after defensive gaff, costing the team. But then the goalie takes the hit for it because the goalie's the one that's getting killed. He played 9 minutes, and in those 9 minutes, it was not good.
Well, I feel like we obsess over 6-7 to the point that we look over the results like with a loop, like in loop every single game. It's like, oh my God, I could go back and show you Bobby Orr getting burned. You know what I mean? Like it'll happen. If you're looking for bad, it will happen. But I think you hit the nail on the head there, Tony.
Doesn't look good when you play 9 minutes, you're -2.
Oh, absolutely. But in the grand scheme of things, okay, let's be honest here. The issue here is not Jayden Struble or Xhekaj. We're talking about setting up more mouse traps. Yeah, we want to kill those mice. Eventually, you got to plug the hole in the wall. You know what I mean? And they're not the hole in the wall. the system right now is the hole in the wall where, yes, they're aggressive, but if you don't pick up on those pinches, on those drives, you're going to give up scoring chances. Doesn't matter if it's Dobesh, Fowler, doesn't matter. The Habs give up, 4 or 5 2-on-1s per game?
My buddy Joe says that you want to stop the mice, you got to plug all the holes in the wall. By the way, they could be in the foundation, they could be in the interior walls, they could be in the exterior walls, they can come in through the roof. This everywhere.
You can keep putting up mouse traps if you want, but eventually you got to figure out the source. Yeah, you could do the same analogy with a boat. You want to plug the holes, that's fine, but why is there holes in your boat? You know what I mean? Like, you have to figure it out. So I think
you got to see him. He shows up with his headband, with his little flashlight.
Is he? Yeah, and he's a mouser.
He starts scouting the situation at 3:00 in the morning. That's when he says they're all out.
They can get in a pinhole there, Tony. They can sneak in a pinhole. But I'm telling you, that's the thing, is that I think big picture, if we step back a little bit and we realize, yes, you could have slightly better individual performances, 6 and 7, but in the grand scheme of things, the Habs defensemen are told to activate. They're told to be aggressive. You know what I mean? Like, don't tell me that Alex Carrier out of nowhere decided I'm going to do 10 rushes every month. He did 10 rushes before coming to the Habs in 10 years.
We watched the pinnacle of a man's life, by the way.
Oh my God, that was
the past the game where he scored 2 goals in 13 seconds.
Beautiful.
The pinnacle of his life.
But
to this point,
from the beginning of the season, Alex Carrier was definitely driving in the net and pinching 10 times more than he was before. Yeah. And I don't actually have I can't tell you for sure, Tony, but it seemed to me that the message from the coaching staff was attack from the back end. We want a lot more offense from the back end, because the St. Louis last year, almost all his offense in the back end evaporated to a certain extent. So I think he got told this year, go for it. And I think all the defensemen are being told that.
But there's no plan B. There's no plan B for when it doesn't work, because Buffalo in the third period was clogging the neutral zone. Mm-hmm. The Habs had nothing. They were getting shots, but there was nothing there.
Eric Belanger was good this morning.
And I agree
about the power play.
My friend sitting next to me at the Habs game said exactly what Eric Belanger said.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to it's not pretty, but your entries aren't working. Just dump it in.
Yeah. The Sabres were going with a 1-3. They were putting 3 men up at the offensive
and the
blue
Habs
line.
Have a good one.
They
F1,
were
F2.
very aggressive. They were pushing up. They were not giving the blue line a lot. So the Canadiens were losing the draws on the power play. So Buffalo's dumping the puck out. Then the Canadiens try with the entry. They're defending the blue line.
And then they're aggressive as hell on their actual kill. Yeah.
And Eric Belanger says, you can't just have the same entry plan all the time. If another team is doing something to negate your entry, what do? You don't keep doing the same thing. You have to find a different way to enter.
Yeah, and you go to the Gallagher-Anderson combination. You know what I mean? A little more gritty, but I don't know.
It worked with them, but this goes to a larger issue with the team, and maybe we'll hit on that this episode. But the one time you saw an effective dump and chase was the last play of the game before the Lane Hutson stick shattered and Buffalo iced the game. Zach Bolduc came in flying, hammered someone, and retrieved the puck.
Speaking of Bolduc, you want to talk about the player deployment last night?
Yeah, I was not a big fan of what was going on the ice, but again, it goes to a larger issue of the lack of depth on the team. And, we can say that, no, once they get their players back, I don't think, with all due respect to him, he's played great hockey this season when he was on the ice. I don't think Alex Newhook is going to fix the lack of scoring depth on the team, because you saw last night, your first line got swallowed up whole by Buffalo's first line.
You still scored 2 goals.
You have a second line.
Yeah.
That they looked okay.
They played okay, but
they looked okay.
Listen, Kapanen's scoring every 2 shots thing is done. We have to be realistic about that.
It just wasn't their night.
Yeah,
and that's okay.
But they had a decent night. It was okay. Yeah, it was fine.
Whose night it was? You're relying on
no Gallagher Anderson. Why?
You're relying on that line for scoring.
The one line you could have made in 2014.
Yeah, and you're relying on that line to cycle the puck. And you know what?
And let's be honest, Dano's not offensively inclined whatsoever anymore. It's just not
when the chips were down, the Canadiens really needed to push. There's 4.5 minutes left in the game. I don't care if it wasn't their night. You should not be putting the third line on with 4.5 minutes left. Your 2 lines, they can empty the tank in the last 4 minutes and 30 seconds. I really wasn't a fan.
I don't know about that.
But you know what I did?
Really wasn't.
I agree with a lot of what you said there. But what I was a big fan of, Martin St. Louis, if you have to criticize
4.5 minutes. All right. The shift should be 45 seconds.
They controlled the puck for the entirety.
Then that's golden. That's golden.
But so what do we say? Because this was the other thing.
40 seconds one line, 40 seconds another. 40 seconds one line, 40 seconds another.
You want to throw out a different player, but you want to throw out a different player, throw Bolduc out there, fresh legs, sure. Mm-hmm. But one of the reasons, you know what? One of the reasons I didn't
they could have done last night in terms of player deployment is at one point, Marty St. Louis said,
no more Doc.
Kirby Doc, I didn't like you on 2 goals.
I like that he switched it up for Budzik, though.
I'm going to switch.
Rare
I'm going to switch up with Bolduc.
That's rare for
You know what he should have done?
Yeah.
He should have switched up the other 2 lines and 2 wingers.
He's never going to break apart that second line, but he should.
That's
he should.
what, if it's not going.
But
then again, he
what
got
about
2 goals. And
there was also, I think it was the second power play of the game for the Montreal Canadiens.
74 passes, no shots?
No. The first PP1 got 45 seconds. PP2 got 11 minutes.
Were they on the ice? I think they drew it, though, right? Did they not draw it?
No.
Oh, okay.
And they just got a minute and 11 seconds, and it's 3-0.
But neither of them took a shot, though. I think the both first 2, there's 0 shots by the Habs, which is
they cycled the puck. The Buffalo dumped the puck out of the zone twice. You're not tired after that.
No,
you're not tired. You could stay on the ice. There was a lot of things last night that I was scratching my head.
We don't know what's going to happen for the Canadiens in Boston tomorrow night, but
Doc back on that first line because I actually like the idea of Budzik in making that. When's the last time Martin St. Louis did a mid-game?
We got to talk
change?
about Laine.
Never.
We got to talk about Laine. I mean, he's been in a regular contact jersey now.
He's been ready for a while. Let's be honest.
For a while.
I mean, 2 weeks.
It seems like
Tony. I put him in my lineup tomorrow. Immediately. The second Laney's back, I have him in my lineup immediately. Okay. Yeah. You know what I use him as? I use him almost like a football. I'm talking American football, like a special teams player where I give him 3 minutes of 5-on-5 and I want his shot on power play. That's it. That's all. Yeah.
Okay.
You mitigate the damage at 5-on-5. And listen, having Laine on your 4th line is not the end of the world either. And then he still has, what's the biggest issue last night for the Canadiens power play?
Entries.
Okay. Yeah, actually, fair enough. What in the end, what did the Habs lack?
A shot.
What does Patrick Laine do?
Okay.
That's all he does.
I'm happy you said that.
Obsessively.
I'm happy you said that. You nailed down that exact point because that's my current argument of why you cannot play Zach Bolduc and Patrick Laine at the same time. Because you have Zach Bolduc does that on the second line.
Mm-hmm.
And you have Patrick Laine doing that on the first line, but everyone's going to be expecting it. The Canadiens power play, he scored a lot of goals, but the power play percentage dipped because they became one-dimensional.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we've never seen him play with Demidov, so does that open new lanes? Sure.
He still has one of the best power play shots in the league.
But if you have Bolduc playing on the 4th line,
get Budzik out. He doesn't have accuracy.
No, but
he has no accuracy.
But if you have him playing on the 4th line, and then giving him, the second wave power play unit, but he's, that's all he's getting.
Yeah.
How could you do that with 2 players?
No, you can't. You can't. Using a guy in special teams, which I think is going to be moving forward, we're going to see a lot. Like Alex Texier, for example, he can score in the shootout, right? I keep him on my 4th line, even if he wasn't playing well, just to have that shootout specialist.
Yes,
but
which is important.
Oh my God! If you can win a couple of shootouts, that's playoffs. That's the difference between not missing. Yeah, but the thing is with Patrick Laine and Budzik, I think they're like opposite players in that respect. Whereas Budzik will go balls to the walls, he'll go crazy, big hits, but he has no accuracy. Whereas Laine will sit there. He'll wait all day long, and then that shot will hit top corner. Let's be honest.
Let's say if Texier is healthy, he's had some good moments with Suzuki and Caulfield, notably the 2 games that were played in Montreal versus Calgary and versus
good
Florida.
Underlying numbers too, Tony. Really solid underlying numbers. There.
Solid underlying numbers, but not as effective on the road as he has been at home.
And not as effective as when Souvlaki was there.
Okay, so having said that, we saw some bright moments from Bolduc yesterday, who had his best game since the last time they played in Boston, which I think was December 23rd.
He was good. He wasn't great, though.
He wasn't great.
My issue with Budzik is that the lack of finish, man. The guy gets in but he can't.
But I understand. He got robbed on one. I mean,
but accuracy-wise, he
got
misses
stopped on a breakaway. On another one, he got stopped, and the rebound came out to Nick Suzuki.
He had 2 one-timers that went about 12 feet.
So, but
a couple of big hits in the hockey game.
About that goal by Suzuki, he fell ass backwards into that assist.
He Mr. Magoo his way into it.
he made a horrible play in the neutral zone that should have been a turnover.
Yeah.
Canadians got a fortunate bounce, and the puck found its way on Suzuki's stick, and the rebound came.
So you wouldn't start,
but he hustled.
You wouldn't start Bolduc on that line tomorrow.
I wouldn't.
He looked good. He looked good, but if that's the bar, what do you? That's that you play one good game so you could get that.
And
spot.
if Texier is not, would you go back with Doc? It hasn't been very conclusive, guys. Let's be honest.
You know what I really like to see on the first line, but I don't think it'll happen. But it's the super obvious choice.
Slavkovsky.
No,
I would love to.
Well, I'd love to actually see that for the first time. Tony's got me. Definitely. Think of Ivan Demidov playing with two of the smartest players. Listen, I'm not trying to say Slavkovsky or Kapanen, but they're reactionary skills players, right? Whereas Caulfield and Suzuki are cerebral players, and so is Demidov. I think he'd be click like hell. But then you'd be really putting all your eggs in one basket. But I would really love to see Demidov.
Here's what makes Slavkovsky special. and I know he's talking about Demidov, but hear me out. Slafkovsky was on that line for the better part of 3 years.
Mhm.
He added, obviously, size with 6'3.5" and 225 pounds. And, he started as a very young player in the National Hockey League. And this year you saw that he was taking that extra step and he was starting to think the game a lot better.
Mhm.
With more and more reps and more touches, and we've seen more and more responsibilities on that line with
He's
Kapanen
growing
and Demidov.
every
He's
day.
growing a lot from the way he sees the game, the way he plays the game. The way
He's
he
driving
moves
the
game.
play. He never did that before.
So, all in all, Slafkovsky on a line with Suzuki and Caulfield would be the full package.
And it is statistically, Tony, it's the full package.
He would be the full package. There's a reason why when Slafkovsky went to play with Kapanen and Demidov, that line was the best line for the last 2 months ahead of Suzuki and Caulfield, because Suzuki and Caulfield missed what Slafkovsky was bringing them.
Mhm.
Okay. So then they tried Bolduc, and then Bolduc and was struggling with consistency, and Bolduc was a little bit here and a little bit there. And then they replaced Bolduc with Texier, and then Slafkovsky went on that line. And now I think it was Marc-Antoine Godin who asked Marty St. Louis a couple of days ago, when you put Kirby Dach there, are you hoping that his size and physicality will be able to replicate what Slafkovsky brought you? And Marty St. Louis said, in an ideal world, the player on that line is a guy like that with size to better complement the duo, which tells you everything that we need to know.
Yeah.
And that
How they perceive that.
Texier
It's not going to be a long
obviously
term.
is a short-term thing for now, because that's what they have.
Mhm.
Okay.
But
So they
Kirby
tried Doc, and we realized, okay, it's 2 games. It's not been overly conclusive up until now. There was a big hit on Dahlin yesterday, but it's not been overly conclusive.
Doc's not a big player. He doesn't play big. He's a big guy, but he doesn't play big, right?
Now, why is Texier worked out? Because Texier is not big and he's not strong, but he's very smart.
Mhm.
He
Cerebral.
sees the
Yes,
game.
Yes.
Maybe not at the level of Suzuki or Caulfield, but probably not far from it.
Yeah.
He sees the game at a very high level.
Mhm.
Okay. And his skills are very underrated. They're better than a lot of people think. So now what Mark's trying to say is, so now take a guy in that mold who sees the game better than Texier,
And has those
who's got
elite
skills more than
skills.
Texier,
Yeah.
who probably even sees the game and has more skills than Suzuki and
He's more
Caulfield.
talented. Yes.
And that's why I think, and who maybe isn't as strong as Slafkovsky, but he
Doesn't have to be.
But he
Doesn't have
protects
to
the
be.
puck really
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
And he's got incredible deceptiveness. So
And he's
You
got that. Martin said we said it perfectly. He's got the elite computer, and you need that processor.
we've
He's
only
got it.
seen
He's
them for a
smart.
couple of shifts this year, right?
Yeah, and it's funny, Tony. I looked into it. They were
Was it not in Boston?
Yes, but they were dominant. Those like
Or
3
versus the
times they
Bruins?
ended up on the same line together. Yeah, yeah. But and they just dominate, but not enough to actually like write an article about. But you right now you can't throw away those. I know Kapanen's not scoring, and I've been the guy saying like, hey, this won't last. It's not sustainable. But you need more than one line to win in the NHL, right?
So before we get back to Mark, why is Kapanen not scoring? Because his production has dropped.
His production has dropped.
That's
because
hockey, yo.
he was scoring at an unsustainable level. He was shooting at 25%.
Kapanen could go without a goal for the rest of the year, and his shooting percentage would still be above average.
Crazy.
So here's why he was scoring. Let's be honest. The reason that Kapanen was scoring, I don't want to take anything away from him. He's got 15 goals. That's fantastic. The reason Oliver Kapanen's scoring is because Juraj Slafkovsky and Ivan Demidov are feeding him a non-stop buffet of high danger scoring chances.
I also think there wasn't a lot of tape on him, and he caught a lot of goalies by surprise.
Yeah.
Now here's the thing. He's actually capitalizing on those scoring chances. So you can't get mad here because the Habs have gone through so many guys that were like, oh, if he could put it in the net, Kapanen's putting in the net, but so that was a fit buy.
So
it's not
does
going to
this
last. And
open up the center discussion again? Because if what he was doing was not sustainable and his scoring has dropped because of that, and teams have probably started to figure him out, and here's a guy who's hitting the 50-game mark now, and unfortunately, unlike most of the Montreal Canadiens who are going to break for 3 weeks during the Olympics, this guy's going to be playing during the Olympics. He's not going to get that break. Oliver Kapanen is not. Does this reopen the discussion of a second-line centerman?
It's always
I'm going to make you think about it. I'm going to make you think about it because in the meantime, I'm going to talk to you, of course, about some of our sponsors, and one of which is the Gyro Orange Julep. Montreal, the spot, the giant orange glowing over the carry since 1932. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Gyro Orange Julep. It's all about the legendary orange drink and classic casse-croûte favorites. Open every day until late. You can swing by after the games, or you can order online to your door now on Uber Eats. Did you know that the Gibeau Orange Julep is on Uber Eats?
I know that because my friends, when they came up from the USA, guess what's the first thing they wanted in Montreal?
They wanted Gibeau Orange Julep.
And we
Why?
found them
Because
exactly
it's a
on-
landmark
Yep.
and it's a staple.
And we found them
in
on
Montreal.
Uber Eats, and we got it delivered. And it was actually, you know what? You'd think Sin doesn't deliver. Trust me, it delivers.
You know that there's a study that showed that in the last 30 days, in terms of popularity, that staple, that landmark, the Gibeau Orange Julep, has gone up 50%.
Really?
Did you read that?
No, I didn't, but it doesn't surprise me because that's what people ask for when
you
they come
read
to
that?
Montreal.
I didn't read that.
Well, me neither. I'm lying about the study. They've been associated, been a partner now of the Sick Podcast.
I was going to say,
And so-
it's funny. It's around the
I
same
tend
time.
to think that their popularity has gone up. And take a look, of course, their new hit item right now is the double smash cheeseburger. And you see that QR code on the screen. You can actually click on it right there and you can order. So special thanks to them. All right. Once again, the discussion for the second line centerman. You say the discussion has always been
Not
open.
in Martin St. Louis' eyes.
Not
though.
in his eyes.
I don't
and
think so. I don't think the discussion's always been open. I think the discussion has always been a top six.
It's not been open in his eyes. And Kent Hughes kind of, calm down
Downplayed
with
it.
It's always been open. I've mentioned it. That's a big problem with the team.
If the
is
Habs
lack
trade
of
for
depth.
Nazem Kadri tomorrow, they're a better team on the set, and because he's going to be a
100%.
second line center immediately. And I'm telling you
They're
right
a
now,
better team with that.
immediately done.
There's
Done.
Yeah, done. Here's the issue, Tony. One of the big problems with Ivan Demidov isn't getting a ton of ice time. Right, everyone's complaining this year because he doesn't want to throw.
Tell me what they want first.
Martin St.
I
Louis.
need to know what Calgary wants first. They're not giving him
Okay, it's the same thing. It's first round pick, your best prospect, and a roster player. So really, a late first, a pretty good prospect, and like
a pretty good, not your best prospect.
well, they're going to ask for that.
Well, they could ask for it. They're not
You know
getting
what?
Michael H for
No,
for
but
Kadri,
they would
right
ask
now.
for it. They would ask for it. I'm sure.
Well, of course they would.
But like, are you willing to trade Alexander Zarovsky to
Yes.
get Nazem Kadri?
Yeah.
I mean, you know what? You're lucky if Zarovsky ever does
No.
a minute of what Kadri did, but
No,
you would get crapped on for doing that.
Of course you would get crapped
no.
on, but no,
I am not trade up. He's got what, 2.5 years left on his contract?
two
Kadri?
at 7 or 8. What is
Yeah,
it?
$7 million. Take a look at Puckpedia. If I'm not mistaken,
But he would be perfect in this lineup.
I
Tony.
understand, but hold on a second. Take a look at Puckpedia. If I'm not mistaken, he's got half of this year left and
yep.
2 more years. Correct?
3 more years. No.
3
you
more
can't-
years?
You can't do it. You can't do it.
How
3
old
more
is
years.
he?
Yeah, 35, Tony. So he's
Yeah.
going to be 39.
No, thank you. I
Right.
am not. Keeping,
But in terms of value,
I'll tell you who
I would.
But hold on a second. I just want to explain why not. I'm not saying no for Zarovsky for anybody, but it's not in my intention to trade away any young players. And I'm going to make it very simple so that everyone understands it. I've said this before, so I apologize if I'm being repetitive, okay? We're going to play a game right now with Bittt TV, okay? We're going to
Okay.
play a game with Bittt TV,
Is it
okay?
called Drink the delicious.
All
beer?
right. Let's take a look at windows.
Yeah.
Okay. Nick Suzuki signed for the next 5 years.
Mhm.
Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. That's window number 1. Okay.
Lane Hutson.
Okay. Theoretically, he might leave the Canadiens after that time. We don't think he will.
That's the one theory. No, that's the one thing that I will say. Everyone else can move. Suzuki's not going
I
anywhere.
understand,
But yeah,
but-
5 years.
So there's a window for, okay.
Hey, he's not young that either. He's what, 26 now? He's almost.
Yes.
He's almost.
Yes.
He's
So,
almost a.
so obviously he's going to be UFA at the end of this deal. Okay. So
Yeah,
there's a
yeah.
possibility that you can lose Nick Suzuki to a big UFA offer if he doesn't re-sign with the Montreal Canadiens. Correct? You understand the logic, right?
I absolutely do. Yeah.
Perfect. So window number 1, Nick Suzuki for 5 years.
Yep.
Okay. Lane Hutson signed an 8-year deal a
Mhm.
couple of months back.
Yeah.
Which starts next year.
Mhm.
Okay.
so call it 9 years.
So correct. So basically you can call it 9 years because this year and the next 8, that's 9, right? So Suzuki's 5 and Hudson's 9. So now you have a window of 5, you got a window of 9. Okay. Then after that, you take a look at the young players. You take a look at Demidov, you take a look at Kapanen, you take a look at Fowler, you take a look at Hage, you take a look at Zarovsky. They are going to have their entry-level contracts. For some of them, it's 3 years. For some of them who burn a year, it's 2 years.
Mhm.
And after that, their chances are they're going to sign a first contract. And after that, they're going to sign their next contract,
If they're
which is
good
going to be
enough,
a long-term
It'll be a big one. Yeah.
contract in National Hockey.
And that's how Kent
hopefully-
Hughes does it.
And hopefully, you know what? It's by the time it expires, they're not eligible for free agency yet. And then boom, all of a sudden, you have a chance to re-sign them to another long-year contract. So you have a window of 5 years with Suzuki, a window of 9. By the way, at the very least, the window of 5 years with Suzuki, a window at the very least of 9 years with Lane Hutson.
Same thing with
And
Dobson.
then all those, correct.
Dobson's
and then
fine. 8,
correct. That is correct. And then all those other young players, you have another window. I want the Canadiens to be as good, as very good, as long as possible, and give themselves 3 windows over the next set of 5 years. 5.
So
10,
you're looking
15.
beyond just what we already
I
see,
want the
and you want a
Canadiens to be
continuation.
very competitive, the way the Boston
want it-
Bruins have been very competitive.
So
the way
avoid
Pittsburgh
what the
Penguins-
Leafs did. Like go all in for 4 years and then realize we couldn't really make it. Now that window's about to be shut. Let's be
Right,
honest.
But it's still a little bit
it's
open.
still
but-
open, yeah. But I like to tease Toronto fans and just let them know how much it's about to go slack.
So
I hear what that's right. You're right, Tony.
there are
But
right
Zarovsky's
players.
so far off. Let's be honest. Okay, first of all, almost all his goals are in the power play.
Yeah.
I love the kid. He's 18 years old, scoring goals in the KHL. That's huge. Quality of opponents in the KHL has gone way down. Zarovsky scoring all his goals in the power play. I'd put him at 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 years away from the NHL.
I think that's
And
a
he's
lot.
23 years old. It's not that old though. 22, 23. Like
No, I understand that. Yeah, I think he'll be in the National Hockey League before that.
yeah.
I
Well, because he still has a few. He's going to be in KHL for another 2 years. That we know.
I'm not gonna pretend I'm a Zarovsky expert that I've
Yeah.
watched hours of-
de Zarovsky.
that I've watched hours of film, but at a certain point,
He's very good.
where
Talent doesn't lie.
the days are
I know
over
what
of-
Kadri is, and I know how good he is, and I know he's effective.
There are
but he's
other
on the way
players.
down. He's
But if
there are
Zarovsky-
other players, you could have named if you could have said Kadri, but you could just say
I
you
want-
could just say C2. 2C,
I want-
and I would have said yes.
you
and I know what you mean. I know
You
what
can,
mean.
you can.
Yeah.
I think they can get by on the center, and of course, Kapanen is going to take
There's
his
no
game
getting
to
by.
another level over the next couple of years. I think Cage will take his game to another level over the next couple of years. I would try and target a big body who would end up being a poor man Slafkovsky, unless, of course, you made the decision that you're going to put Slafkovsky back on the first line, and when Newhook comes back in March, and Marc could tell you this because he's a numbers guy, Newhook's numbers on that line with Kapanen and Demidov
better
were
than
fantastic.
better than Kapanen, or on the second. Sorry, better than what Kapanen did as the center, but not quite as good as who else was it when Doc had first gotten here. But those numbers are so yeah. Newhook had the best of the worst in the second line, but Tony's not great either. Newhook's not a defensive specialist by any means. Like he's fait manger Touron. He gets eaten up a lot there.
Yeah.
right there.
No, but the numbers that he had with Kapanen and Demidov were pretty good.
Yeah.
before they got injured.
They were pretty good, not great. Pretty
Yeah,
good, not
I
great.
hear
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Okay, so on that note, Canadiens and the Bruins tomorrow. Unfortunately, there was a travel day for the Canadiens today. They took off from Trudeau at 2:00 this afternoon to make their way to Boston, and so there was no media availability today. So right now, at the time of this podcast, we don't know, if anybody's going to be. We don't know what the lineup's going to be tomorrow.
But he goes back to Montembeault, doesn't he? Because now he's your starter again. You've made it clear.
I don't
Joe
know.
Besh is just a backup, right? He's not doing the 1A, 1B thing, is he?
Well, there's my thoughts, and then there's I think they're what they
No, what are they going to do?
I
though?
What
think
are they
they're-
gonna
I
do?
think they're going to Montembeault tomorrow.
Yeah, he's back to being their starter again.
I think they
Yeah.
go back to Montembeault. I think it should be Dobesh. I would put Dobesh.
You'd put Dovesh?
He's such a wild card.
He's a wild card, but
Have you ever had a dog husky that just they go crazy?
He wins games, though.
no, he wins. He wins.
He hasn't
that's
lost
it.
a game in
he
about
wins
in
games, and at this
regulation in a
point,
while.
you're back at the square of when they had to call up Fowler. It doesn't matter anymore. Just go with the hot hand and get the win.
You know that
Get the win. They're bleeding.
The last 2 weeks have been absolutely fantastic for the Canadiens.
Everyone's freaking out, but they're actually in pretty damn good shape.
You want to know why?
why?
Because their weaknesses have been exposed.
Yeah, and we can talk about them
And-
honestly.
And instead of that being a strength for the other teams, instead of that being a negative,
Mhm.
it just reinforces what Gordon Hughes and St. Louis probably knew all along. And the focus is going to be on obviously reinforcing those weaknesses. That's what it's going to be. Sometimes you don't end up getting all the answers.
Yeah.
They have all the information. They just have to go out now and find that answer. They have the information. The answer is elsewhere. And what they're going to give up to get that answer, that remains to be seen. I think it's positive.
I also think we have to be ready for them not to do much.
On that note, if they lose tomorrow, fire everybody.
absolutely, man. That's it. Let's say, yeah.
By the way,
Eric
social
Raymond,
media,
you're done.
social media, that was a joke. All right. Thanks for coming by, man. I appreciate it. Matt Ohayon.
Cheers,
Marc
Tony.
Dumont,
Always,
thanks, my
always a
man.
great time.
For Alexis Lavoie Martel helping out, and of course, the Cavalleros, Agnello, Sammy, Juliana, and Rosa. Thanks very much. Have a great weekend, everyone. Enjoy the game between the Canadiens and the Boston Bruins tomorrow night. It's the Sick Podcast Yuppie, smile. It's going to go well in Boston. Don't worry about it. Hold on a second.
It would go better if they had Fowler.
All these lights in the studio. A lot of heat. Hey?
Hey, there was a mascot birthday there yesterday.
What did you say about Fowler?
I said, well, in Boston, that's what they should have. They should have Jacob Fowler there tomorrow.
There's a guy who played some games for Boston College.
1 or 2 for Boston College, yeah.
And played a game or 2 in that arena as well in different
The
tournaments.
good news is that Boston College teams are now a pipeline for the Habs. Lane Hutson, Alex Newhook.
Started
Jaden
back with
Struble,
Brian Gionta.
and Jacob Fowler. So Boston, you're now Montreal's farm team. Thank you.
Have a great weekend, everyone. I'm Marinaro.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group, driven to be different. Bittt, embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination.